Hey, what's up, everybody? Pastor Kyle here,
Henry Roman.
and we're on opposite sides today. I just realized.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, this is weird.
Usually, it's
Yeah, it's weird. It's
um,
like sitting in a different seat at church.
I ain't about all that life. So it different background this week again. I feel like we're saying this all the time, uh,
Lately.
but stuff is happening in life and situations and everything else, and it kind of made us make a decision to dial back a little bit on the production side of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, we're still here. We're still going to continue to do this. However, we've uh, made an agreement amongst a few of us, and that it's important for us to kind of dial back right now and reevaluate what's going on in our own lives and things moving forward and how we're going to get to the destination that we're looking to get to.
Promised land.
Promised land. And we could really use a Caleb right now.
I know. A Caleb, a Joshua,
Right.
a Samson to throw people around.
Yeah.
We need two of him,
A Jesus.
one on each side.
A Jesus to walk us on water. Uh, some.
And a Peter. Don't even talk. Just start lopping off ears. We're not even gonna stop you.
Yeah, I mean that's all we need. So so tonight we're gonna be talking about being intentional, and I know Henry has something to share, but uh, uh, a story, I guess you'd call it, that I heard one time just all of a sudden came to mind. So, um, this one dad was teaching his kids how to um, if you hear some rushing around and the stuff in the background, it's my dog. She's seeing stuff outside.
Squirrel.
Yeah, squirrel. People.
Yeah,
Another dog.
same difference.
But this guy, this dad was teaching his kids how to drive, and in the process of teaching them how to drive, he was distracting them, and he was
That's a good way to teach.
making them basically like nervous, like anything he could do to just disorient them and distract them, uh, fluster them in the moment. That's what he was doing while he was teaching them, and it made it for a non enjoyable moment in these kids' lives. It's not my dad. Not like that. But, fast forward in life, and he never understood why his dad taught him and his kids and the other kids, why he taught them that way.
Mm-hmm.
Why he did that, and why he made it such a non-enjoyable moment of driver's education. And this dad at one point saw a car in the ditch and without hesitation pulled over, stopped, got out to check to see what happened, and when he got out and got to the car, there was 4 individuals in the car. And unfortunately the driver had been
Ejected.
Had a limb removed.
Oh wow! During the accident.
In the accident, and was no longer recognizable. And everybody else in the car said that she had ran a red light, and in the process of accidentally running the red light, because there was no other cars, there was no nothing on the road, so the guy was trying to figure out what happened, and found out that in the process of running this red light, she got flustered, and she let go of the wheel, and they soared off the edge of a thing and flew in the air, and everything happened. And so the dad took that lesson and basically taught.
It's a visitor.
We have a visitor. It basically taught the kids to learn how to drive distracted. Distraction.
Right.
To learn how to drive distracted. To learn how to drive distracted.
Right on time, dude.
Yeah,
On
perfect,
time.
perfect timing and stuff.
Now, if you said, "Hey, Stella, do that,"
Never.
no, not in a million years.
But he taught them how to drive distracted. That way, if anything happened, or if any other cars distracted them, or people in their car distracted them,
How you can still maintain
They-
some sense of
they-
focus and control.
they would not lose control of the moment. And I feel like that's. I know we kind of hit. It went real dark, real deep, really fast. I know that's not usually our forte,
Yeah.
but today's a little different. But it's an important lesson, because it's not just an important lesson in driving, but it's an important lesson in life. If you allow the distractions, essentially the distractions can kill you spiritually, physically, mentally.
Yep.
Because you're not paying attention. And we've been using a lot of driving illustrations lately.
I think we need to go karting. It's the only way to sell it.
Maybe not. Maybe it's the exact opposite. But
We could run across 25 and see how many cars we can dodge before the ultimate thing happens.
right.
The speed races we have around here.
But ultimately, I mean, I'm basically done talking after this. I'm gonna let Henry kind of finish it up, but that's what I want to leave you guys with, because I think that's what I need right now. Is that I need to not allow the distractions to get the best of me, and kind of get myself recentered. So that's what I want to leave you with from me, on my side anyways, is don't get distracted. Or if you do get distracted, regain focus, remember why you're doing what you're doing,
Right.
and press forward. If you can pick any direction,
Yeah.
press forward.
Yep. That's it. What I have to say is, like, to piggyback off of that, part of being intentional is a safeguard against the ebb and flow of life, right? When you're intentional about things, it's like, this is real talk, right? Is it? So
Fake talk.
people that know us know me and my wife have been like, we like oil and water. But what happens is, when you're intentional about things, you can supplement a lot of nonsense, a lot of stupid stuff, by just being intentional about certain things. Like, there's certain things that I've learned to do over time, and I do it intentionally, because what it does is it sets the tone for something, this or that, to work out a little bit better, to be, go with a little bit more ease, so that now if I'm intentional about it, then it's caused me even to grow and mature in some ways that I wouldn't have matured in before, because I wasn't thinking about it. So I think that dad making a distraction and doing the weird stuff, while it's not of very big consequence, what does that do? Now that intentionally puts them in a situation where they have success when the ultimate happens. So when something happens that we can't control, the things in life that comes against us. So what happens is when we're intentional with that, we kind of buffer some of the things that come up because we're not so taken off guard with them. And, just like running a red light, um, just like things happening in life where they kind of catch us, off center a little bit. And it doesn't mean that those things aren't going to happen, but if you're intentional, what you can do is you can lessen the blow a little bit. Um, so what I've learned to do, and the thing is, you start to see fruit after you start to be intentional about doing things a certain way. Now, everybody has, like, I'm sure there's things that if you did them, it would drive Becca up the wall. So what do? You learn to be intentional about, okay, well, you know what? It's not a sin that I did that, but you know what? It really aggravates my wife, so maybe I won't do that. Now the other thing, yeah, I want to aggravate her on purpose, so I'll do it anyway. So it's those things, but just being intentional about the way you live and the way you do things, it really helps to set the table going forward so that you have some semblance of success. And and I think what happens is too often we're kind of flying by life and we're letting life happen to us instead of kind of dictating where we could be dictating things. Because at the end of the day, God is in control of it all, right? But we do have certain things that He's given us. Okay, that's your task to do today. And the thing is, if we're not intentional about doing those tasks, then life kind of just happens to us. You ever had a family member? Like I have family members, and the guy's always in trouble, and it's always somebody else's fault. You know, man, you know what? That light just turned so fast this time. Yeah, but you've run the red light 30 times.
Yeah,
You've
but
got,
this one time it wasn't my fault.
man, I'm telling you, man, that cop had a clicker. He waited till I go through it, click it, hurry up and go red on me. It's always something like that. But the thing with him is he goes through life by the seat of his pants. He's never intentional about anything. So what it affords him to do is always to be in some kind of trouble. Now, don't get me wrong. Things are going to happen. It's life. So we're going to go through trials and all that stuff. But if you just let life happen to you all the time, you're always going to be in a sense of chaos and you're never going to have any real traction. Even an artist, as they paint, as they draw, as they do the things they do with that, even though we don't know it, there's an intentionality about how they do things. They might scribe it first before they fill everything in. And for us, the untrained eye, we don't see what they're making.
Yeah.
But the little dot over here, that's where the tree is going to be. But I'm doing something over here, but I put the dot there because now I'm just trying to get spatial recognition right. So they're intent on what they're doing, even though it seems seemingly chaos to us because we're not skilled at that.
Do you paint by color?
I'm colorblind. It would all be black. I throw it on the canvas, and that's it. Like, what is that? Paintball.
Yeah.
So, but their intentionality looks different from ours, and so sometimes what we do intentionally is going to look different to other people. They may not even understand it. Say when you set up one of these streams, and you're click 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 bopping away. Like before the stream, he's asking me like, you seem like distracted. I wasn't. I was just kind of waiting because nothing that he was doing, it was something I was going to be doing. So it wasn't that I was like kind of aloof. It was just like, okay, that's your lane, bro. Run it. So the thing is, I know that you know what you're doing. So I don't have. I'm just going to leave you. Yeah, right.
Don't ever assume I know what I'm doing.
Right. But it's just like, so I leave you alone to do the thing that I know you know how to do. You know what I'm saying? So I can tell there's intent about what you click on, how you do it, what you set up, the level of the mic. All of those things I don't know nothing about, so that your intention looks like chaos to me. For me, I just see you clicking. Now, I go and do something that I do well. Like when I go do my work and I work on machines and stuff, and I know you're in a similar lane to that in some instances, but some things on the machines I work on, I just know it. I don't need to think about it. I'm intentional, methodical about what I'm doing. To the outside, untrained eye, it looks like chaos.
Well, one of the biggest things that irritates me with people
is that they're alive.
Yeah, I just it drives me nuts. No, kind of. No, but people that can't do anything for themselves drive me absolutely insane. Because one of my biggest, I say this a lot, but a pet peeve of mine.
You have pet peeves?
Right? I know.
God forbid.
A pet peeve of mine
A pet peeve.
is when somebody doesn't want to learn. They just want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's a mundane task.
Mm-hmm.
It can be technology. Like, not, I understand, like, I can program and I can do things, and I know, like, Becca looked at me the other day and she's like, yeah, that looks like yeah. And all she saw was lines of code,
Yeah.
and she didn't know what any of it meant.
Looks like letters and numbers.
And heck, I'm like, and at the same time, I'm like, if I don't know what it means, that's why I can't finish it.
Right.
But no, so like I understand like lines of code and things like that. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about the easy stuff. You know, how to turn on the TV, how to
I know how to do that. I know how to do that.
put an attachment in an email.
I can do that too.
You know, it's
40 minutes, but I can do
it's
it.
the mundane things because in life we fail to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
We fail at all of these things because it's instead of just being like, you know what, this is something I'm gonna need to learn for the remainder of my life. This is something that I am always going to do.
Right.
I should do it.
Right.
I should learn how to do this task.
Mm-hmm.
I should be self-reliant. Because, I mean, we all look at the world and stuff that's going on in it right now. And we all know there's going to be a time where you better be self-reliant.
Mm-hmm.
And know how to function as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And know how to function as a
Yeah, that time will
working member of a society.
Yep.
And not just rely on the people next to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was funny. So right before all the stream, I had to go over to the church and help them set up some videos and stuff. And while I'm helping them set up their videos, Darren says to me, he's like, yeah, he's like, I don't know how to do any of that. And I'm like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for you to have to learn this for a one-time thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were doing videos every Friday, then maybe we should talk about, hey, this is how you kind of set things up.
Mm-hmm.
But in life, it's just like we fail so many times. We fail to sit back and realize that we need to be functional. And Mom, I wasn't talking about you.
That's what I was looking at just now.
Maybe.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, it's, you know, my mom's a great example. You know, my dad's a truck driver. And for most of my life, my dad was never home because he was out providing for his family. And, you know, super appreciative of it. And I saw my mom step up to the plate and do things that otherwise completely took for granted. Where she was, the hot water heater went out, she either was trying to fix it or she was making the phone calls, taking care of business to maintain the house.
Right.
She's out there mowing the lawn. She was out there, you know, trimming the trees. She's out there doing all those things, but she was also being a mom, and she was also being a wife and all these things on top of it.
She's wearing a lot of hats.
Because that's what she needed to do to maintain.
Yep.
And to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the moment, as a teenage boy, did I appreciate it? Absolutely not. I could care less. Looking back on it now, it speaks a whole lot more volume than it ever did.
Yeah, yeah.
And
you realize when you get older, you realize how really stupid you were when you were
right?
younger.
And I see the same thing with like my wife when I'm on leave with the military and different things. You know, she steps up and she's you know, when we first got married, she didn't even know how to make an appointment. Or balance checkbook. Now she works at a bank and she makes all the appointments.
Right.
Because
she learned a little bit.
There's time in life where you sit back and you say, I need to be intentional. because moving forward, how am I going to continue to move forward unless I
Right.
step up to the plate? And there's so many people around me in life that I get very frustrated with that aren't being intentional
Mm-hmm.
and aren't stepping up to the plate in areas that
Yeah.
they need to step up to the plate in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm my worst example.
Mm-hmm.
There's areas where I need to step up to the plate and I need to be more intentional on that I'm not.
Yeah. But I think that's in a sense where grace comes in, where you're not, because uh, the thing is, none of us are going to be necessarily perfect about even being intentional. It's just, do you have a desire to be? Because a lot of times people don't have a desire to do any of it, and that's when they become the baby that sits on the couch and screams for the remote, and the remote's 2 feet from them. And so those kinds of things really do frustrate you because you know sometimes what I don't do well, you come up and pick up the slack. So in some essence, that's God's grace for us, that He puts people in our lives that do things well that we don't do well. I may not love washing dishes. What if my wife really doesn't mind it? And she just wants to do that. So I'm gonna pick up now the other thing. Like today when I came
Kashanda,
in,
he's calling you out.
yeah, I know, right? Yep. So it's like the thing is like today, I went to the store, got some stuff, came in and cooked breakfast for everybody. Is that the I know, right?
All right, just making
I
sure.
know. Is that gonna make me
COVID?
king? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's a byproduct of COVID. Yeah, you get up and oh man, my wife, everybody need to get COVID more often. So, but it's like the thing was I intentionally went to the store to get stuff to come back and cook breakfast because I was intent on doing that. And so what happened was my family was able to eat breakfast and my wife was able to go do something else that she needed to do. So necessarily I'm picking up some slack that afforded her to do something else. Now she may do something that I need that I can't do. And so what happens is if we do that for each other, then we administer grace in the moment. And so I think our intent has to not only be for benefit to us, but also a benefit to people around us. There's some intentional things like when you guys did like the appreciation thing, and I got like the favorite thing out of that is my Yeti cup because I'm using it all the time. So little intentional things like that. Why? Because it was a blessing to me. Now I use it all the time. So don't get lost in that it's just the intent for yourself. Sometimes the intent has to be, in essence, for someone else. And I think what we do is by being intentional, we create a blessing in the fact that now we're more on it when we're doing X or Y. But also that intent spills over to other people and it winds up being a blessing to them as well. And so if we can structure our lives with more intent, more doing it on purpose, then what we wind up doing is we have more peace. Because what happens is in chaos, that's when you have very little to no peace. Because everything's just kind of popping up. It's like being in a war zone almost. It's like being shot at. It's crazy. So, it's just something for us to leave with you guys that being intentional is not being a drill sergeant. It's just methodically, slowly starting to structure your life in a way that it brings peace and serenity.
I hear that. All right, y'all. Well, that's gonna end us for tonight. Thank you guys for being with us on this huge roller coaster journey. We've had tons of ups. We've had tons of downs. It's been
Mm-hmm.
chaotic at times. It's been, um, exactly what we would hope we could ever hope for.
Mm-hmm.
But through it all, a lot of you guys have stuck through it,
Yep.
and we do appreciate it. I kind of looked at the Facebook today, and um, actually right before we started streaming, and I'm like, as chaotic as things have been, and as like down as everything kind of is right now, um, like we have 120 people that follow us on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook alone,
Sweet.
and that's most of that's just been in this last year.
Yeah.
With not with us not putting tons of, for
Yeah.
lack of a better word, effort,
Yeah, effort,
into
content.
pushing tons of content and pushing tons of posts and different things.
And how people like they do a bunch of boosting of their posts to
Yeah, we
throw it out there.
it's been very organic, just this one time a week, and sometimes we've missed because of certain things going on in life and situations and moods and just a little bit of everything. Whereas, back to the conversation, if we would have been more intentful and, drove this, we may be farther down the road, but we also may be more stressed out
Yeah.
than what we're already. So, I hate the phrase "everything happens for a reason" because sometimes I just don't.
It can be overly
I
used.
don't necessarily believe it.
Yeah.
I believe that everything can be used for a purpose. However, I don't think everything happens for a reason, and if it does, it could be because I'm an idiot, and I'm the reason that it happened. So
I agree.
I bet you, I'm sure you would.
I concur.
So you're going to see lots of different backgrounds probably moving forward, especially throughout the summer. I know that military responsibilities might pop up here and there for me. So it could just be this ugly mug that you're looking at every day. You could have my
Preach.
my beautiful bride. You could have her join him and do some talks without me. So just know that don't look for a set background or set people on the screen because like I said, we're kind of dialing it back, kind of changing things up a little bit to navigate what life is throwing at everybody right now. So
and some of this is intentional for us to get back to square, brass tacks, get down to the base of, what do we need to do? We need to put out good content in the best possible way we can with what we have.
Yeah, and there was added expenses that boosted our production quality, but where we're at financially as a ministry it's more important for us to dial back and reevaluate and
it's like you recalibrate,
redistribute our resources, both financial and physical and mental, to make sure that this is successful moving forward.
Yeah.
For everybody, not just for the ministry, but for each of us individually.
Yeah.
So, all right, but we love you guys. Thank you guys again so much for tuning in and watching us every week and listening to what these two idiots have to say. But with that being said, we hope to see you next week.
Yep. Till then.